you. That's perfect, Gaston. So thank you for that. So again, a very, very warm welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining in this NS session for BMNG 6222, which is Business Management 2B. I'm glad that you guys are here, and welcome especially to Mariska there as well. Thank you so much for taking time to join us, Mariska. Please, at any stage you want to jump in with the students as well, please let me know as we go forward and unpack this in more detail. So there are some students who are busy joining in as well, but I'm going to get started. Please let me know if the signal is a little bit down. I am getting a mixed signal here, so if at any stage it is getting weak or a little bit fuzzy, we are having load shedding, so sometimes it does impact it, but let me just know, and then I can switch over or make a plan. So I don't want you guys to have a bad experience with the connection. So we're going to look at assignment 1 for business management 2B. Most of you guys would have already started assignment 1. So most of you guys would have already had assignment 1, part of what you, I'm just going to, just give me 1 second. I just want to just double check here, guys. I don't want to let it, just give me 1 second. I just want to check this connection here. I'm just going to log back on, guys. I think it might just help if I do that. I am getting a low signal, which is very, very strange. But let me just quickly log back into the session. Okay, everyone, I'm back in the session. I'm so sorry about that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mariska, for that. I'm going to try again. I don't know what is happening, but I'm going to try and just share this again, guys. My sincere apologies. I have been working on my computer in VCLearn most of the day, and I haven't had any problems. And now when I've got a class, there seems to be problems. Okay. So I'm just going to wait for everything to reload up again. I hope that you guys can hear me. I think my signal is a little bit up and down this evening, so I do apologize for that. If at any stage you can't hear me, please just tell me, guys, and then I can repeat something or go over it again or type it up. And between myself and Mariska, oh, thank you. That's such good news. I don't know about sunny Durban, but here in Port Elizabeth, it's been a cooker of a day. We've had very high temperatures, so that's awesome. Okay, I'm just waiting for my slides to show again on your side. Yeah, I was gonna say, aren't you in the wilderness, Em? But a very warm welcome to everyone for joining, and like I said, a special warm welcome to Mariska, who's also on, and apologies from Peter. He is also stuck in traffic at the Gautrain and all that, and Theo as well. So Mariska and I will be sort of conducting the session. Mariska, like I said, if you've got anything that you want to add or just man the chat section and just interrupt when you need to, then please do that as well. Otherwise, I will just continue to go ahead. Can you guys see anything on the screen as yet, or is it still just busy sharing? Otherwise, I'll just wait a few minutes and just share. Thank you so much, Mariska. Much appreciated. Okay, so it seems to be on your side. It's just not reflecting on my side. But let's jump in any case. Let's get started. Shows BMNG 62. Perfect. Thanks for that. I'm just gonna okay, let's just get into here. So thanks guys for confirming that you can see. It's just on my side that it is now not showing. So I'm actually just going to reshare it because I can't see it, guys. What a nightmare. Okay, let's just get started quick. Oh my word. Okay, just wait 2 seconds. What is happening here? Just quickly reload this. Just give me 2 seconds, guys. I just want to reload it up now again. Come on. So while we wait for that to load, ladies and gents, I know you probably can't see on your screens now. I'm just going to give you a brief introduction of what the assignment is about, and then I'll go through the guidelines. Apologies for this little technical error. I think it is maybe some signal somewhere along the line is just making us have so I don't quite know. Like I said, it's been fine, but maybe there is some station that's down or something like that. So I'm just going to explain the case study first, and then hopefully by that time the questions will be on the screen. So the business management assignment, the first assignment, is about Capitec Bank. So at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, you should have downloaded Capitec Bank assignment. You should have the assignment one in front of you. You should have at least read through the case study. Now, I always tell my students, even though our case study that they give us is 5 pages long, so there's a lot of information in it, it may be necessary for you guys as well to do further research. So to actually have a better understanding about what Capitec Bank is, what is their business proposal, what are their strategies, what are they looking at, and how are they actually operating in South Africa? So our first point of call is actually to have a better understanding of what Capitec Bank is. You'll see the entire assignment goes about Capitec Bank and the leader. So our leader in this situation is Mr. Harry Fourie, a very good leader, so a very well-known leader, and he is doing something right in Capitec Bank. And we're going to analyze Capitec Bank and his leadership style as well. Oh, thank you. I can also see it. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much. So Capitec Bank has been in South Africa. Remember, they came into the market and they disrupted the market. The banking industry in general is quite a hard market to crack. Not many newcomers into the market successfully. And yet here we see Capitec Bank, a new bank, entering in the market in the early 2000s, coming in and disrupting the market, okay? And how did they get that right? So how did they actually get it right all those years back to sort of enter the market? So in the case study, they explain a little bit more about Harry Fourie. They explain how he had more than 17 years experience in the banking industry and how his approach to leadership and leading an organization was very unique and refreshing, okay? So if you just had to close your eyes and think about Capitec Bank a few years ago, so let's say 15 or 16 years ago, when they first opened up, they came into the market, they had a brand new idea of how they're going to do banking, and they sort of exploded. So they did well in the market, they had a huge market share. Then a few years later, they hit a little bit of a wobble. So they explain about this in the case study about how certain media houses were writing negative things about them and said that they were exploiting people and that their loan rates were too high. So they kind of sort of gave them a bad image. And again, Harry Fourie stepped in and resolved that issue and made it all smooth again. And year on year, we see that Capitec is growing. So somewhere along the line, they are doing something right. And it's our job to understand what it is that they are doing right. So in the case study, they speak about how Harry Fourie sort of really values his employees. He creates a good culture within the bank. He teaches the employees that they are valuable. So he kind of has this philosophy as to make the employee understand the why. Why are you doing this job? What is your purpose in the business? And once the employees realize their purpose, realize why they're doing it, then it becomes easier for them to actually do a good job. And if they're doing a good job, then Capitec as an organization is doing well. So a very refreshing, a very good approach to leadership, and we're going to try and analyze that going forward. Okay, so you'll see in the case study they use the words like Harry Null tries to promote learning among the staffs. He creates a culture of innovation and a good entrepreneurial spirit within the employees, and he really tries to put the clients first at all times. Okay, so your entire assignment is going to be based on Capitec Bank and how they are currently in the South African market. So we have the first question, which speaks about Capitec Bank and we speak about the different processes in management. Okay, so we're looking at the three main processes in management. So we have the process approach, the systems approach, and the contingency approach. And your job for question 1.1 is to differentiate between these three approaches and then explain how Capitec uses the contingency approach. So that's our question for 15 marks. Let's unpack it in a bit more detail. So I've put the page numbers there as a starting point. Remember, there is further research that you can do as well on all of these. These are just from the textbook. So this is from the second edition, Contemporary Management Principles, where they speak about the different approaches. So if we just had to look at these three in a nutshell, you will remember once you've been through the theory that we have three different approaches to management. Okay, so the first one we speak about is the process approach. Okay, so our process approach is, as the word said, it is the process of management. So it is the planning, the organizing, the leading, and the controlling of the organization. So management is the process. Once you've planned, lead, organize, and control. Then we take it one step further, and we then have the systems approach. So it's the systems approach in a nutshell says Yes, you're still going to plan, lead, organize, and control. But in this approach, we see everything as interrelated, as integrated with one another. So they are not separate functions that you would do. We see them that they are all unified as a whole. So the business needs to still do all those functions, but instead of seeing each one of them separately, we now look at them as a whole. And then obviously the contingency approach, again taking it one step further, we now see that the contingency approach basically says that for each situation in the organization, we need to manage it in a different way. So our managing style, our managing approach is going to change, it's going to adapt, it's going to be suited for each situation that we find ourselves in. Okay, so it depends on the specific situation that we find ourselves in as to how we are going to manage, what is going to be our management approach for that situation. Okay, and then we're going to apply that to Capitec Bank. So let's get into the actual question here. I always tell my students that when you approach a question second and third year, you always do it in the TA approach. Okay, so let's have a look. The T stands for theory and the A for application. So in any question that you're going to get, first give us the theory and then make sure that you are applying it. Okay, so for 15 marks, you're looking at the theory. What is the theory that we are looking for question 1.1? We are looking for the definitions of process approach, systems approach, and contingency approach. So you need to define them. Then you need to differentiate, okay? So this big word differentiate means to basically tell us what are the differences between each of these three approaches. What are the main differences? What makes process approach unique? What makes systems approach unique? What makes the contingency approach unique? How do they differ from one another? So that's the theory that you would do. And I always encourage the students to sort of start with the theory. So start with the definition, start with the differentiation, and then move over to the application. So what is the application in this case that we would have here? For our application, we are applying the contingency approach to the Capitec environment. Okay? So if we have to just rewind our minds, remember Capitec Bank prides themselves on being innovative, prides themselves on doing something different. So how can the contingency approach be applicable in Capitec's environment? How is Capitec sort of approaching the management style in a contingent way? So you need to sort of find elements from the case study that highlight the fact that the management is adapting itself to each situation or to different situations within the banking industry, within Capitec Bank itself. Okay, so we're looking at theory and application. Okay. So remember, when you are differentiating, I'm just going to quickly check this question. So Gaston, you're asking, can you use a table for the differences? So the answer is you can use a table for the differences as long as you are still writing in full sentence. Sometimes we find that students will make a table, but they will just write as like a bullet point, a one-word bullet point. And obviously that's not going to get you the marks, okay? So often when we are writing a theoretical question like this, it is preferable to put it in a paragraph form. But if it is in a table form, just make sure that you are writing enough information in the table to justify what you are saying. So for example, if we look at process and you've got it in a table form, don't just write one word. Don't just, for example, say planning and not elaborate on it. So you can't just have the word planning in your table, because what about the planning that you would need? Okay, so you can put it in a table form by all means, but just make sure you have enough information in the table. Okay, so don't just give us little one word bullet points under each thing in the table, because we really want to see that you are understanding what it is. We're not just looking for a regurgitation of the textbook, so by all means do it in a table form because it is simple, it looks professional, but just make sure that your table has got enough information in it. Remember, you are going to get marks for theory, so make sure that you are indeed writing enough marks for that. Mariska, are you happy with that, accepting a table form as long as there is yeah, definitely no bullet points, show that you understand the theory, and then you can apply. Okay, so thanks for that, Em. Yeah, so basically on the same page there. Yeah, by all means have a table, but no bullet points. Make sure that you are, like I say, we want to see that you understand what is the contingency approach and why is it different from the systems approach, and what is the systems approach and why is that different from the process approach. Okay. Yes, you can also make it smaller. I wouldn't go smaller than 11 in it. But yes, you can make it a little bit smaller if you need to. No problem. So I think the key for this question, ladies and gentlemen, is to really make sure we want to see the theory. So we want to see that you understand these approaches to to the management process. So we want to make sure that you understand, like I say, what is process, what is systems, what is contingency approach, and how do they differ from one another. And then we also want to see, very, very important, we want to see that application. So we want to really see that application to the Capitec environment. And again, you're going to have to go and find this application. You're going to go and look to see how are they managing in a contingent way. Okay. So I'm going to move on to the next question. If there are still questions on question 1.1.1, you can put up your hand or type it up. We will always answer those questions as well. Okay. So question 1.2 that you'll see on your screen is also quite a simple question, all right? So I've always found the first few questions are always quite easy for it. Again, another 15-mark question that you would have, and here they are looking to analyze the market environment, okay? So I'm just waiting. Just quickly give me a thumbs up if you guys can see it on your side, or you're still waiting for it to load. This bullet, this. Okay, perfect. Great. Thank you guys are there. So yeah, question 1.2, we're looking at that 15-mark question again, and we are looking to analyze the market environment, okay? So I need you guys to really just listen and just focus here for a second. Remember, in business management, we have the 3 different markets, okay? So we've got 3 different markets that we sort of look at in business management. So we have the micro environment, which is internal, and then obviously we've got the macro environment, which is our external environment, okay? So part of the macro environment, we have what we refer to as the market environment and the remote environment. Okay, so we've got micro, which is internal, then we've got macro, which consists of market and remote. We are only focusing on the market environment. So we don't need any factors to do with micro environment, and we are not looking at, remember in business management first year, we sometimes speak about the macro environment, we're speaking about the pestle factors. Those are not what we're speaking about in this case study or in this scenario as well. So we are specifically looking at the market environment, okay? So the market environment falls between micro and remote, and it's sort of the buffer between the organization and this remote environment that they don't have any control over. So sometimes we call this the operating environment. Sometimes you may hear it be referred to as the task environment. Those are all the same words that we are going to be looking at. So just to remember, I remember a couple of times students often get them confused. So we are specifically looking for the market environment, the task environment that you would have here, okay? And in our market environment, we have got 5 different elements, 5 different sort of sub-elements, environmental factors that we would have. And your job is to analyze all 5 of those factors. So again, we're going to look at the TA approach. So remember, theory and application. Okay, so theory, define what is the market environment. List and define the factors in the market environment. So you're going to need to look at those definitions, explain each one of those factors that would form part under the market environment. If you're not sure what the factors are, please go and look in your textbook on page 97. They explain them so beautifully. So use that as a page reference guide and then as a starting point, and then go and do your additional research further than that as well. So step 1, theory. Explain the market environment, okay? Explain the 5 factors under the market environment. Step 2, apply each one of those factors to Capitec Bank, okay? So take Capitec Bank and apply it. Let's say, for example, and this is just an example, let's say one of the factors that form part of our market environment, so let's just pick any one, how would you define competitors? Step 1. Step 2, apply the competitors, okay? Apply the competitors towards it, okay? So we've got our It seems to have completely kicked me out, everyone, again. Here, I really am having a nightmare with this connection. And like I say, it's literally been fine the entire day. Anyways, we can't complain about that. I'm back. Sorry, everyone. This has really been crazy. Okay, so let's just move on to what I was saying. I'm not sure if you can still see the screen yet. So let me know if you can't. You should be able to see it, but otherwise, just let me know if I'm going to just repeat myself there with that question 1.2, just in case anyone didn't get the question that they would have. So we're speaking about the market environment. We're speaking about the 5 factors in the market environment, okay? So step 1, theory. Define market environment, define each one of those 5 factors. Step 2, application. Apply the 5 factors to Capitec Bank. So use the case study and have a look at Capitec Bank. You can see as a starting point there, you can look at page 97. It really explains it so nicely, the market environment. They give you a diagram of all the factors in the market environment, so you can literally just use that as your base and go and do your further research based on that as well. So let's just quickly do an example of how you would then do that. So let's say one of the factors, part of the market environment, are the competitors. So step one, define competitors. Tell us what are competitors, give me a definition of what they are and how they fit into the industry. Step two, apply. Ask yourself, who are Capitec Bank's competitors? So we are applying competitors to Capitec Bank. And you're going to do the same process for each one of those factors. So theory, application, theory, application, theory, application, obviously for each one of those 5 factors that you would have for that question that you'll see there. Okay. So that is then the question 1.2. If you have questions on that, please let me know. Otherwise, I will move on while we've still got signal to the next question, which is question 1.3, where we look at the SWOT analysis. Okay, so for question 1.3, we look at the SWOT analysis, and here you will be happy to know, Gaston, that you can also do this in a table form. So you are welcome to do your SWOT analysis in a table form. Okay, guys, I seem to be reconnected again, but I was actually just typing up and just checking here again. Okay, well, I seem to be on again, but this is really, it is quite frustrating. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know what is happening. Like I say, I mean, I do this all the time, and this is really a crazy connection. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to try and just finish this session, and then I'm going to just reschedule another session where we can actually communicate at a better situation. So I'm going to try and push through and just see if I can just get some help to you guys, because I know you all need assistance. But what I'm going to do, we can we can reschedule it to sometime. I haven't got a date yet. I was hoping to obviously do it tonight, but we can discuss it with the OTs and we can find a rescheduling time for this as well, just so that you guys can actually get a proper experience of what an NSS is supposed to be, because this is not like it's supposed to be. So yes, we are definitely pulling a UNISA here. So we don't want that. Okay, so guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just continue, because we seem to be connecting a little bit now, but obviously I will go and post another recording, make another time slot where we can have a Q&A or ask questions as well, and then we can see if there's another session that we can maybe just meet up as well. So again, just apologies for this this correction, this craziness of this. So I'm going to go on and we will just do a take two at a later stage, but I'm going to try and at least get through most of it as well. But if you are experiencing terrible quality or something like that, please don't panic. Please don't lose your mind. Like I say, I will sort it out and we can go further on with that as well. Okay, so let's jump right into the SWOT analysis for Capitec Bank. Here, guys, ladies and gents, you can use a table format. So Gaston, just to make it easier, I know you always ask about that. You're welcome to use a table format for the SWOT analysis of Capitec Bank. So remember, SWOT analysis, we are looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So not a new concept to us. What are we going to be looking at for that? You're going to be identifying strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for Capitec Bank. So remember, the question is out of 10. So we've got 10 questions. So I always tell the students, have at least 3 weaknesses, 3 opportunities, strengths, and threats, okay? So for each one of them, have at least 3, because that then would give you your 10 marks. So don't just write 1 strength, 1 weakness, 1 opportunity, and 1 threat. Write at least 3. And if you actually have to think about it, you will be able to, you'll able to actually find many, many more. Okay. So just quickly checking, can you guys still hear me? Yes, good. Okay, great. So let's have a, thank you guys, that's perfect. So let's have a look then at some of these strengths that we would have. Okay, so we've mentioned a few of the strengths of Capitec Bank when I was going through the case study. So they are innovative, for example. So you would then say, don't just write the word again, explain it in a little bit more detail why you say that, what it is. Okay, so for example, under a threat, don't just say Nedbank. Okay, so kind of say, is it the fact that Nedbank launched a new app? Is it Nedbank's customer service that is a threat? Is it the fact that Nedbank is advertising a lot that's a threat? So don't just write the word Nedbank. What is it about Nedbank that is the threat? Or what is the opportunity? Okay? Or how is the specific thing a weakness? Okay? So really try and find those points to elaborate on it. So again, table format is very acceptable for a SWOT analysis. So just don't have just one word. So elaborate on it. And like I say, then you would need 3 strengths, 3 weaknesses, 3 opportunities, and 3 threats for this question, which would give you the 10 marks. Okay. So you don't have to go and write what a SWOT analysis is. You don't have to define SWOT analysis. You don't have to tell us the definition of SWOT analysis. You are just conducting the SWOT analysis. So we only want the SWOT analysis of Capitec. So like I said, it can be in table format, any 3 strengths, any weaknesses, any opportunities, and any threats. And like I say, there actually are quite a few there as well. Okay. So yes, you can just name them, but remember, you do need to elaborate it. You can't just write, like I said, Nedbank. You've got to say, why is Nedbank a threat to Capitec, if that is what you are saying, okay? So you can't just say, for example, fees under strengths. Is it that the fact that the fees are cheaper than other banks? Is it the fact that some of the banking is for free? So what is it about the fees? So don't just write the one word. Elaborate on what is it that is making it a strength. Okay. So if we're happy with that question, I'm going to move on while we've still got signal. Make hay while the sun shines here. And we're going to then look at question 2. So that wraps up question 1, where we focus on Capitec and its environment. Now we're going to start looking at the leadership in question 2. So question 2.1, we're specifically going to focus on the leadership and who is the leader of Capitec. Remember, we mentioned his name, Mr. Harry Fourie. So if you had to research Harry Fourie, you will see he has got a reputation of being a good leader, of being inspirational, of being quite a motivational leader within the organizations that he has been. Okay, so we are going to now focus on him and his leadership role. And the first question speaks about the interpersonal role of Harry Fourie. Okay, so if we had to just quickly go through some of the theory for this, we know that in business management there are 3 different roles that people would that managers fulfill. So if we have to think about what a manager does, we have 3 broad categories of their roles. The first one being the interpersonal role, and then we have information and decision making. We are only focusing on the interpersonal role. So for the purpose of this question, we only need to focus on interpersonal, okay? And what are you going to look at? We are going to look at how Mr. Fourie fulfills this interpersonal role. So how is he doing the tasks that are required of him in this role? So before we can even do that, we need to understand what is the role. So here, ladies and gents, you know, here is the theory part. Explain the interpersonal role. Explain the 3 subheadings under the answer, okay, or under the interpersonal role. So look at the 3 different sub roles, explain them, define each one of them. So we have the interpersonal role, definition. Then we have the 3 sub roles, the definitions, okay, which will then form part of the theory. And then we're going to apply. So how do we get to the application part? You are going to ask yourself, Harry Fourie, is he a good figurehead? Is Harry Fourie a good leader? Is he a good liaison? Okay, so those are the 3 roles that we're looking at. You need to say, yes, he is a good leader and justify, or no, he is not a good liaison and justify. Okay, so you need to discuss how he fulfills his role. Does he fulfill the role? Does he not fulfill the role? And then as long as you can, justify your answer. Okay, so really as part of the application, we're looking for each one of those sub roles, and then you can conclude by saying Mr. Fourie really fulfills his duty of the interpersonal role, or Mr. Fourie needs to work on the task to perform his interpersonal role at Capitec. So in conclusion, you can just say, yes, he's doing well in his interpersonal role, or no, he's not doing well. Okay? So just to recap, theory, define interpersonal role, define the 3 sub-roles from the interpersonal role, and then step 2, ask yourself, is Mr. Harry Fourie performing these tasks that he's supposed to be doing? Is he a good figurehead? Is he a good leader? Is he a good liaison? Is he performing those duties that he is supposed to be doing? And then in conclusion, you can just say, yes, he's fulfilling the interpersonal role, or no, he is lacking. He's not fulfilling it. Okay. So please, guys, at any point, let me know if there are any questions. If there's not, I'm going to move on to question 2.2, which is also about Harry Fourie. And we are going to look at the transformational leadership style now. So if we look in our textbook, we go all the way to the leadership chapter, which is right at the back of our textbook. And we're going to focus on transformational leadership, okay? So there are a lot of components for transformational leadership. Your job here is to say whether or not you believe Harry is a transformational leader, okay? So you're going to first of all ask yourself, what is a transformational leader? So again, start off with a definition. Define transformational leadership, define some of the characteristics of transformational leadership. What are some of the components of transformational leaders? And then in your second half, or the second 3/4 of your answer, you would then justify. Then you would say, Harry Faree is a good example of a transformational leader because this is what he does. Okay? Or Harry Faree is not a good transformation leader because he does not. Okay? So justify. So over here, I can't reiterate it enough that the justification becomes so important here as well. Okay? So justify whether you believe Harry is a transformational leader or not. So before you can do that, like I say, you need to unpack what is transformational leadership. How do we focus on transformational leadership? So how do we focus on what it is? What are the components of it? And then second part, say, yes, Harry Faree is most certainly a transformational leader because he does X, Y, and Z, or no, I don't think Harry Faree is a good example of a transformational leader because he does blah, 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 or he does not do anything like that as well. Okay. So relatively straightforward question for 10 marks, looking at Mr. Faree and his transformational style. Okay. So then moving on to question 2.3, where we look at the expectancy theory. So again, we're moving on to our theories of motivation, which is the very last chapter that is in your textbook. We move on to page 606, and here we focus on the expectancy theory. Okay, so obviously again, it works the same that we have been doing. Before we can even unpack this question, we need to understand the theory. What is the expectancy theory of motivation? What does it mean? What is the definition of that? Okay. So before we can think about applying it, we need to first have a brief definition, description of what this expectancy theory is. Okay. So basically, in a nutshell, expectancy theory is, as an employee, I believe that if I perform in a certain way, I'm going to be rewarded. So my performance is driven by the reward that I'm going to receive. Okay, so if I understand the reward, I am likely to behave in a certain way. So I'm expected to behave in a certain way because I'm driven to get that reward. Obviously, value also becomes important here because it depends on how different employees place different values on certain rewards. Okay, let's say, for example, as a young working mother in the workplace, she might value an afternoon off as a reward because then she can go to her children's schools or whatever it may be. So for her, she places a lot of value on that reward. So she will expect to perform well in order to achieve that reward. Whereas, let's say a young unmarried bachelor who doesn't have children, maybe for him an afternoon off is not as important. He would like a tank full of fuel for his car, for example. So a different reward, different expectancy. So irrespective of what the reward is, it's all about the value that they are placing on those rewards. Okay, so that's kind of what the expectancy theory is, just very briefly. And then obviously you're going to then apply that to Capitec. Okay, So now you're going to say, what can Harry Faree reward his employees with? What is the rewards? What is their performance that he's expecting from his employees in order to motivate them? So we get the sense in this whole case study that the employees that work for Capitec are highly motivated, they are driven, they really try and put the customers first. So Harry Faree is really trying to get his employees to have that attitude, to have that work ethic. So how is he getting that? How is he using this expectancy theory to get that level of motivation from his employees? So you're going to look at the 3 different levels of the expectancy theory, which are effort, the amount of effort I'm putting into my job, which then relates to the performance. Am I achieving the objectives that I'm supposed to be achieving? And then the reward that I'm getting. So we need to look at those type of things. What are the rewards that Mr. Faree is putting in place? And what is the performance of the employees? How are they working? Are they working hard? Are they achieving their goals? Are they expected? Are they performing in a way that is expected of them? Okay, so I know that might sound a little bit confusing, but if you just go back and listen to it and just read through page 606 and 607 where they explain the theory in more detail, you will it will make sense to you as well. Okay, so let's just recap. Theory first. Okay, so remember, ladies and gents, there is a lot of theory in the textbook. You can just give us a short summary of the theory, so you don't need to go into detail about everything about how this is managed in the workplace and things like that as part of the theory. You're going to use that in your application. So we just need a brief overview of what the theory is and what are the 3 elements in the theory. So just a brief description of the theory and a brief description of the 3 different elements that form part of the theory. And then you're going to apply. So then you're going to apply each one of those elements of the theory to Capitec Bank. So for example, you're going to look at the employees' efforts, the performance, the rewards. So then those are the 3 elements that you are then going to go and apply to Capitec Bank as well. Okay, so how do we link performance with the employees to the reward that they're getting? How are they motivated to achieve the outcomes? How does this manager determine what the outcomes are? So how is he going to sort of analyze what are the rewards that they are going to be looking at, and how can we make these rewards desirable for the employees so that they work hard? Okay. So that was a real mouthful, but at least I didn't lose you guys there. So at least I think you got all of that, which I'm very, very grateful for. So let's move on. Whew, ladies and gents, we can breathe. We are on the final question. So I know, apologies again, I know we have taken a little bit longer, but let's just get through the last essay question that you will see on your screen as well. Okay. So the essay question is for 20 marks. Again, normal essay structure is applicable here. So you're going to write an essay. There's a word count, 800, 900 words that you would need to write. Obviously, give or take sort of 50 either way, but generally you should be able to write it in 900, even 950 if you really must, but I wouldn't go lower than 800 because there's quite a lot of information to put in here as well. Okay, so this is really we want to see your deeper understanding for this question. Okay, so please don't just rewrite the textbook for it. We want to be able to see that you understand what is the management process. So Gaston, yes, there is a minimum. It is 800. So the minimum that you should write is 800. But like I say, most of the students should write should write 900 words. It's quite a lot of information, but don't write less than 800. Otherwise, your marks won't be that great. So the minimum is 800. Okay. So let's have a look at what we're going to do for this question. Step 1, first and foremost, choose an organization. So it can be any organization that you want. It can be your own organization. I know a lot of students have asked, if they are the business owner, can they do their own organization? By all means, it can be a small business, it can be a big business. So we don't really mind what organization you are choosing. We are mainly focusing on your understanding on how that organization is managed. So how is that organization managed? So we're going to apply the management process to the organization of your choice. Normal essay structure, okay? So I'm not going to harp too much on that. Introduction, conclusion, well-written body, academic writing, referencing, everything that you would know would be in a well-structured essay. So you guys are making me laugh there. So what are we going to focus on for this? We are going to look at the management process, and we are going to focus on the organization that you have chosen. So you can use Capitec, no problem, but you can use any organization. So they're not telling you to use Capitec. You don't have to use Capitec. You can choose any organization, and you're going to apply the management process to that. You need examples, okay? So let's say, for example, we are going to use Capitec, okay? Just to keep up with what we're doing. What are you going to do? You're going to look at the management process. So you're going to look at planning, organization, leading, controlling, goal setting, effectiveness. You're going to look at how the organization uses its scarce resources and how it sort of adapts to the changing environment, okay? And then you're going to apply those elements to Capitec or to your organization that you have chosen. So remember the golden rule, ladies and gentlemen: theory, 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 and application. Okay? So as part of your introduction, as part of your definition, you can say the explanation. So define the management process. So what is management? What is the process of management? Why is management a process? Okay? So define the management process that you would need. So you've got the theory, definition of management process. Then apply it to your organization. So take each one of the elements that you have defined, and you're going to apply it to the organization of your choice. So let's take the first one, planning, organizing, leading, controlling. Okay, so you're going to take each one of those elements and say, how does that business of yours that you've chosen plan? What do they do to organize? How are they leading? How are they controlling? So give practical examples of the planning, of the organizing, of the goals that you find in the organization, of the objectives. Are they effective? Are they efficient? How are they using their limited resources to create something? Are they coping with the changing environment? So all of those elements that are mentioned form part of the management process. So then you need to find examples, practical examples that are related to your organization that you picked in the management process format. And then obviously have your conclusion. So then conclude, tie up the elements, tie up what it is that you are supposed to be doing, and wrap it up like that. Okay. So between 40 and 40. Sorry, guys, I lost you there for a second. Let me just quickly read your question. Can a business use multiple business processes? Elaborate quickly on that question. I'm just trying to think of. So we're specifically focusing on the management process, okay? So if we focus on the management process, we're looking at those 6 sort of components of the management process. If we have to take the definition of what is the management process, okay? So we're not really worried about sales process or production process. We are worried about the management process, which we define in those 6 components, which is it's the process of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. It's working through employees. It's setting goals and objectives. effectiveness, efficiency, and limited and scarce. Okay. Contemporary versus process. Yeah. So my advice to you would be to focus on the process of management, the management process. Focus on those 6 elements that they give in the textbook. So really, ladies and gents, you can use your textbook for that sort of just to give you a structure of what it is that you need to be focusing on, and then elaborate on those elements. Remember, you only have 900 words, so you really have to condense those elements into a concise, you can't go and explain one of the elements and use 700 words to explain one element. So you kind of have got to make sure that you are balancing out all of the elements of that management process. So I hope that made sense there as well. So let's just recap. Theory: define the management process, briefly look at all 6 of those little elements. Remember, a lot of them are short. For example, if we look at one of the elements, which is an organizational goal, it's a short, brief definition of what an organizational goal is and an example of an organizational goal. So that's a relatively short process that you would need. But if you look at planning, leading, organization, and controlling, those are going to take a little bit more time, a little bit more words to elaborate on those as well. So step 1, identify the theory, explain the management process. Step 2, apply each one of those elements or steps to the organization that you have chosen. It can be any organization, it can be your own business, it can be Capitec, it can be any organization. It doesn't matter. As long as you apply it. By the application, we mean give us examples. Give us examples of each one of those elements that form part of the process of management. Okay, guys, I think that obviously there's a rubric. So there is a rubric attached to your assignment. Go through the rubric. 15 marks for content, 5 marks for structure and referencing and everything else that you would have for that. Okay, so we've summarized everything part of this management process. Remember, like I said, there's a lot of information. You need to condense it quite a bit and then give us the examples. Give us the examples that we would have. All right. Sure, guys, I'm so sorry this was a little bit longer than what we had planned. I'm so sorry for all those interruptions. Remember to reference. Remember to submit on time via the Safe Assign link. Yeah, so just remember to do that. I will connect with the OTs as well. I will share this document with them. The due date is the 12th of September, remember? So you've got the 12th of September. It is due before 9 p.m. and submit as per normal on VC Learn. It will be marked with a rubric on VC Learn as well. Please shout if you have any questions. So reach out to myself, Peter, Mariska, or Theo, and we will be able to help you. And like I say, I will just pop another recording up. I will go and listen to this one and just check where the sound went really bad, and I will just go and redo it as well, because there was a stage where it was very, very bad. So I do sincerely apologize for that connection, but towards the end, at least, I think we managed to get everything done that we have. So I will make this recording available, guys, and without further ado, I wish you all a lovely evening. Keep well, stay warm or stay cool wherever you are, and we will chat again soon. Remember, references are not included in the word count. So your contents page, your titles, your bibliography, your references are not included in your word count. Question. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Mariska, and thank you for all your assistance. It is always much appreciated. Thank you for jumping in there. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and we will chat again soon. Bye.